Really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you on this sunny Las Vegas day. Thank you to the whole team from the brand Innovators organization that invited me here. Special thanks to Pearl, and special thanks to the technical genius back there that made a very last minute adjustment and made all of this possible, because without, I can tell you a secret here, without this presentation, without this jacket, I have nothing. Yeah. But just to introduce myself on a personal level, I'm married, live in Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. We have 2.4 beautiful children. Little Nicholas is 0.4, and I see some laughter. I don't know why you guys are laughing. We're talking a lot about data, right? Insights and so on. He gets teased at school for being 0.4. I tell him, you're going to grow up to be 1.0 human being one day. We're laughing, but this is a very serious topic, and it's a topic about how we think about humans in this era of numbers and algorithms and AI that's getting louder and louder. And that's what my talk is going to be about. It's how we understand customers as human beings and not just numbers. It's going to be in the context of how we work at Zappos and how we understand our customers at Zappos. But let's get started. So I don't have to tell this audience that we live in really unprecedented, unusual times. I mean, the business world is changing by the hour, almost. Technology changes so fast. We hadn't heard about ChatGPT a few short months ago. Right now, everybody's talking about ChatGPT. Right? It writes better than me. Understands text better than me. I don't know what's happening here. I'm a little anxious there. We also just got out of a pandemic that upended the world and business. We just got out of that, and everybody's talking about inflation, recessions, all that. So these are really uncertain times. We also live in a very fast-paced, consumption-driven society. So as consumers, we have so many choices. It's almost like too much choice. We can purchase from online from the whole world, everywhere around the world. It comes the next day. So sometimes too much choice can be a challenge, right? This time is also a time of social media, and wait too fast. Is a time of the explosion of social media that really allows everybody to put their all their content, all their photos, their whole life on display for all to see. You know, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all the new ones that are coming out daily are full of beautiful people living their best lives, and the rest of us are just trying to keep up. Now, this time of uncertainty and consumer choice, I would say, are dominated by two mega trends. So one of them is this reliance on big data, numbers, algorithms. And you can see this quote from McKinsey from a few years ago. They're talking about, back then the whole rave was big data, right? Now big data is not that relevant, but they're talking about big data and how it's going to open up the whole new horizons of innovation and consumer surplus and all great things about customers, and it's true. It's really brought a ton of opportunities for businesses and for consumers. The other mega trend is this focus of companies on creating emotional connection with consumers. We all have heard about the importance of emotions and how we need to understand our customers and to cater to their emotional needs and to build this long-lasting customer loyalty. And here is a short excerpt from an HBR article from a few years ago that talks about the importance and the need to go beyond mere customer satisfaction and to tap into those emotions, because as consumers, I would say most of the time we're motivated by our emotions, not by our reason, right? We're not walking calculators. We many times are influenced. That's what branding is about. It's about an emotional connection, and many times, I would say most of the time, emotions are a big part of it. I mean, I can personally attest to that. When I was in graduate school, and I was driving this beat-up car. I'm not going to mention the brand, but it gave me so much grief that I hate the brand to this. I mean, I can say that. I mean, it's an emotional reaction, and it's not rational, right? Even if they give me a free car, I'm not going to drive it. So that is an N of one, but I'm sure it resonates with all of you. Now, in this talk, I'll try to convince you that these two trends, so the reliance on big data, data science, AI on the one hand, and this quest for cultivating deep emotional connections with customers and building long-lasting customer loyalty are in opposition to one another, and they create inherent tension. And every company that really wants to win the hearts and minds of the consumers of today and tomorrow has to resolve this tension. In other words, we cannot hope to build products and services that really relate deeply with customers and build this loyalty unless you understand customers as human beings and not just numbers. And that's because customers aren't numbers. I started with 2.4 children at the beginning. I don't know if you've heard the story of the statistician who had his head in a hot oven and feet in a block of ice, but on the average they felt just fine. Try this at home. It's a fun experiment. Again, an anecdote, a joke to make the point that you cannot average human experience. And some of it is, I mean, I can do a whole hour of stand-up here of what happens if you try to average human experience. Some of it is quite serious. Like, for example, let's take the body mass index. Right? It's a metric. It's a number. I can tell you, I put in my height and my weight, and I come out as obese. And then with the following recommendations for maybe warning for diabetes and sleep apnea and all these things. And it's because this was developed by a statistician, not by a biologist, right? So again, a point of how when we reduce customers to numbers, people to numbers, very funny things happen. So let me give you another example. We all like our statistics, our numbers. We all use demographics. As marketers, we use demographics, right? So let's do this. Let's imagine with me. I'll do a demonstration for you. Imagine with me a person who fits this description. Identifies male, born in 1948, raised in the UK, married twice, lives in a castle, extremely wealthy and quite famous. Can you think of at least one?
Prince King Charles.
Prince? Well, you guys are amazing. And Ozzy Osbourne, right? They exactly fit, both of them fit exactly that description. Would you market to them the same way? I mean, I think they both use makeup, but they use different kinds of makeup. Right? And so that's, it shows the limitations of us relying only on demographics. So when we talk about emotions, I can tell you one thing about business I learned by working at Zappos and being lucky to experience it under Tony Hsieh, was to really learn about the importance of relationships. If we only think of businesses as people as numbers, you think of businesses as just spreadsheets. That's all you need. You need the spreadsheets. But in fact, businesses are much more about relationships than numbers and spreadsheets. Relationships among employees, between the company and the employees, the company and customers, the company and community, and so on. And when we talk about relationships, trust is a very, very important concept. And I don't think it's been discussed much in business circles, but I want to talk to you a little bit about that and the research at Zappos that we've done around trust. Trust can be measured in many different ways, but one time, many years ago, I was at a conference and I heard Fred Reichel, the Net Promoter creator, talk about another metric that he had come up with about trust. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I remember that now we're using it at Zappos. And it's a statement that says, let's say Zappos always has my best interest as a customer in mind. It's simple and it's brilliant, right? Or you can say retailers always use my best, retailers always have my best interest as a customer in mind. So we've been running this general population tracker for many years with general population consumers in the US, and we asked this about retailers. So the way we compute the score is we take the percentage of people who give 9 and 10, and we subtract the percentage of people who give 0 to 6. So we get a net score that varies between minus 100 and plus 100. And you can guess where the numbers are, right? You can see the arrows pointing down, and the red color shows that trust in retail in the US is pretty dismal. And that's corroborated by other research. For example, Statista reported a few years ago this ranking of the trustworthiness of professions in the United States. And on the very bottom were members of Congress, and then second from the bottom were car salesmen, and third from the bottom were business executives. So again, it tells you, and when we ask the question why you feel that way, it's all about, in the context of retail, it says, people say retailers are about their profit. And it's not judging anyone. That's how you're judged on Wall Street. It's quarter over quarter, but the result is this. And I'll quickly share with you another piece of research that we did at Zappos. Now, our customers on a daily basis give us feedback, and I'll briefly, in the second half of this talk, I'll talk about how we developed our Voice of the Customer program to build this trust. So customers can go in and tell us how we're doing on a daily basis. They volunteer this whenever they feel like it. And so they rate how easy it is to use the website, how easy it is to find products, how personalized the website is to us, and how much they trust Zappos. Zappos always has my best interest as a customer in mind. So we took the ratings of ease of use, ease of search, personalization, and trust, and we predicted whether somebody is a promoter or detractor on the Net Promoter Score. So the whole model was very statistically significant. So all of these predicted whether somebody is a promoter or detractor. But what's most fascinating, and I think that's the true insight here, is that the rating of trust predicted was the strongest predictor out of the four. So there's something there. So I talked about the Statista example. Edelman, they have a trust barometer, for example, and other companies have done this as well. So there is a better way, of course, to build trust and to build this loyalty, and it's by really focusing on the customer and giving them giving them a voice, giving them a way to tell you how they feel about your company. Because one thing about brand is, one of the definitions that I really like is that brand is not what you tell others about your company. Brand is what the customers say about you when you're not in the room, behind your back. That's what a brand is. It's a feeling. Brand is a feeling, right? And that's why it's so important to measure those feelings. So how do you enable your customers to tell you how they feel? I'll just briefly share what we did at Zappos, and I'll share it in the context of using the hero's journey. You're probably familiar with it. Any engaging movie or book is based on the hero's journey. There's a call to action, and there's challenges, and there's dragons and damsels in distress, and so on. So in my story, there won't be dragons necessarily, so it's not as much fun, but it's still, I hope, interesting. So when I joined Zappos about 9 years ago, I joined the most customer-centric company when it comes to high-touch customer service over the phone. But at that time, nobody was reading customer comments, and for me, it was a double take. It was a huge opportunity. And at the time, we were in this self-organization mode at Zappos, something that Tony Shea started. So no org chart, no titles. Everybody was encouraged to organize around the work, not necessarily about titles, around titles. And so we saw this as an opportunity, and we surfaced it to our executives, and they said, sure, organize a group around that. They supported us, we got some budget, and we were on our way. So we started collecting data from our customers, initially using third-party tools like Qualtrics and so on, but soon we came across some challenges. First of all, the volume of data was growing, so the costs were growing. But more importantly, we couldn't collect very sensitive information about what really happened to that on that session, because it was containing personal information and sensitive information about the customer. And Zappos, being an Amazon company, we're all about privacy, and data security. That trumps everything. So that took us to, we had to really find a way to create our own little internal tool. So it took about a year and a half of begging and borrowing and so on to ask our engineers to create a little survey for us, and finally they did after a year and a half. And we're on our way to collect even more data, and part of that data, which is pretty much the most important part, was text data. So not only the ratings are simple, but how do you change the Net Promoter Score for the better? How do you change the trust score for the better? You have to let customers tell you what went wrong in their own words. So the insights about the root causes of their feelings are contained in that text. And we've collected hundreds and hundreds of thousands of comments over the years. So to analyze that, you need powerful AI. You need really, that's where the rocket science is. You need powerful text analytics. And after a few years of trial and error and using different providers, we came up with a really great partner. And now we are really 9 years in. Our whole executive team, our CEO and whole executive team are reading customer comments on a daily basis. And really now it's a very important program. We're taking action. We're actually validating issues on the website to the tunes of potential tens of millions of dollars of little paper cuts that if you fix those, you're going to stop that bleeding and really get much more revenue. So very quickly, tips for creating your own program. Of course, collecting the data is important, but then storing it in a way in which you can connect the dots, not just collect them. So being able to connect all the data for a certain customer is essential. Then analyzing it, I talked about it, you need really powerful AI for the text analytics. The rest is just pure arithmetic. And then most importantly is acting on those insights, closing the loop. So very quickly, some lessons learned. It really takes time, you need to be patient. You need to bring others along for the journey. You cannot just say we're doing this because other companies are doing it or because that's the right thing to do. You have to listen to their concerns and address them and bring them along. And then, of course, you have to close the loop, act on it, improve the experience, thank your customers. So, in conclusion, if you remember one thing from this talk is this. Creating deep customer loyalty is as much about psychology as it is about technology. If you start with the technology in mind, if you say we're going to use ChatGPT and then say, well, how are we going to use it? You're putting the cart before the horse. Only if you really understand your customers as human beings, as individuals, are you going to be able to create deeply emotional, personalized experiences that will have customers love you for years and years to come. Thank you.